Next up is Vivé Griffith, and her official bio says, Vivé Griffith is a poet, essayist, and a graduate of the Missioner Center for Writers. Vivé and Erwin and I all share a former teacher here, Elizabeth Harris. Yay. That's kind of cool. Since 2007, Vivé has directed Free Minds, which is a wonderful program. I go every year, every time I get invited, which is a program that offers free college humanities classes to adults who have faced barriers to education. And that's all the bio says. So here's Vivé, going to read us some poems?
Yes.
All right.
Thanks for coming out tonight. And thanks, Joe, for putting this together for us. It's great to see not just my family, but my Freeman's family here as well. So, I was thinking as I prepared for this reading about the question that comes up when we're in contentious times in our country, which we are right now, about what does poetry mean? What is the role of the writer and the artist in that time? And I think we could spend the rest of the night debating that and talking about that. And there's a long history of writers really trying to be the voice of the people in the world. The other thing I was thinking that writers do a lot, and poets do, is kind of honor and elevate the everyday and the mundane and the things that we sort of walk through in the world. And you take a poet like Pablo Neruda, who was a great political poet, also wrote a bunch of odes to common things like socks and fish in the market and onions and things like that. And I just heard a great interview with the Irish poet Michael Longley that was titled The Vitality of Ordinary Things. So I thought that tonight I would read some poems that are really about just the ordinary things. And the context for this is that back in 2014, I did a project where I took a photo every day of the year. And I'm not a photographer and don't pretend that I'm a photographer, but doing that project really made me pay attention in a way that I hadn't before. And so in 2015, I wanted to continue that and so I changed it up a little bit. So I started taking a photo and writing a paragraph that went with that photo each day. And I'm going to read from those at the end of the year. I did not do that every day, but I did like 180 of them over the course of the year. So at the end of the year, I went through them and realized that a lot of these were paragraphs, a lot of these were wanting to be poems. And I'm going to, I put those together for myself in a book, so my pieces will also come with visuals. So the first one that I'm going to read is kind of the entryway and is about, literally about painting my front door and choosing what color to paint my front door. And it's full of the names of paint chips, and as a writer, I'm fascinated by what people do to paint chips. So this is the photo that goes with it, testing out the paint chips, and it's called Fresh Coat. This much I know. I am doubtful of skinny jeans and wouldn't dare paint the front door shipwreck or tsunami. Kelly tells me Einstein's door was red to make sure he could find his way home. Yet we've been traveling out and back from this house for a decade now, slipping the same key in the same door, climbing the same half step to the porch. 2 weeks ago, the tiles started peeling off the stoop, and we've stacked them, waiting for repair. We consider firecracker for its burst of flame, but in midlife, we're less prone to explosions, to noises that rattle our bones. Why not allure for what brought us here? The long brick walk, the country kitchen, cabinets stenciled with seashells. When we made the offer to the old owners, an elderly couple we heard still held hands while walking down the street, we told them we were engaged, though we weren't. We were drawing ourselves into the future, to the Saturday afternoon we married in the front yard, and everyone we love in the world passed through this door toward the food laid out downstairs, the dance floor and the grass beyond. Allure it is. I'll brush on one coat, let it dry, brush on another. The next one I'm going to read is titled Kicked Off, and the photo that goes with it, this is from July. This is what happens when you decide to take a photo every day, is that you find yourself taking photos of your shoes on the floor. So we're going to put a selfie here underneath the kitchen table. So this is called Kicked Off. Where our shoes land, Kicked off. Where our shoes land tells you where we've been, where tiredness overtook us, or we decided this is it, I'm in for the night. This spot below the kitchen table suggests we started talking. His brother, my applicants, the little list we keep of what hasn't been done. Car headlight, fig tree, rats in the walls, and aren't we almost out of milk? Yesterday we both went to the store without checking in. The result, 4 dozen eggs and a line of rice crackers on the shelf. On my side, bags gather in need of emptying. On his, a folded paper towel where he rests his elbow. Maybe there are houses where the shoes always land in closets or in a special rack by the front door. But would I want to live there? Here I can trace our days by the places we paused, then unlaced, realizing now I am home. I have too much stuff up on the podium, and it is undoable. July 6th is Ode to the Half-Written Letter. And this is the photo that goes with it. Ode to the Half-Written Letter. How you return to it and find the life you were living then. 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years ago. A time between losses, you said, and within minutes your family erupted, and here you are. It is 6 a.m., the week is beginning, a week in which you have so much to do. The pen you use is the same, the notebook peeled back to reveal more blank pages to fill. What was it you intended to say? Back in March of last year, I got taken, as many people did, by this Marie Kondo book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which became this crazy craze where everyone was pulling everything out of their closets and sorting through it. And Marie Kondo says that you should have nothing that does not spark joy. So I spent a weekend pulling out all of my clothes. I'm reading this in large part because my mom is here, and in replication of my mother, I have acquired a lot of clothing over the years, and it took me an entire weekend to pull out, sort, fold in a very particular way, and bag up the extras. And this is a photo of the bags of clothing that had to go. It was a really obscene thing to discover about myself. And this is called KonMari Weekend. It's the hashtag KonMari with Marie Kondo, day 3. Saying goodbye to the blue mixie dress I wore so often, so classic. To the tan wedges I don't love as much as the other wedges I brought home later. To the plaid wool pants I bought at Goodwill, and to the Jackie O blazer I always thought I'd wear and didn't. Goodbye to those trouser jeans, to lace thongs, to the nightgown I wore after surgery, to the mauve cashmere sweater my mom gave me, and the gray sheath dress, and the long silk cardigan in a bright blue that was for me. It is a luxury to ask, does it spark joy? The virtue, I think, is in making do, making the best of what you have. My friend Leslie and I discuss this when she comes over to peruse what I am giving away. She walks out holding my old loves, the green crossbody bag, the red one I carried when I drove from Connecticut to California and back, the black jacket with a shawl collar that pulls too tight against my middle. I can't go back and undo the accumulation, can't unbuy the things I shouldn't have bought. 6 plastic bags line up against the wall, extracting promises that the next time I will do better. As for joy, there's Leslie draping that purse across her chest and making plans for its pockets. There is the Jackie O blazer with its classy aspirations, and the woman who discovers it hung along the long rod at the thrift shop. She shrugs it over her shoulders and walks to the mirror, where she turns circles to see herself from every angle. This one is from Memorial Day 2015, which those of you who were here know was when we had the really torrential storms that led to great flooding and where the city was kind of shut down. And the photo from that day is not particularly interesting. It's of my den with the storms going on outside. And this is titled, "It Wasn't a Storm." And for those of you who are students of some of the professors here, I will tell you that this poem is one long sentence. So, "It wasn't a storm," Memorial Day 2015. It was roads becoming rivers, homes becoming boats, sky becoming midnight dark in the mid-afternoon, and the whole city sat in front of the TV watching Jim Spencer cover the weather. Jim Spencer announced tornadoes to the west, to the north, to the east, cropping up, on the ground, sweeping through, and alarms blared at the station, and alarms blared at the house, and we heard the warnings. Johnson City, get in your safe place, and Marble Falls, get in your safe place, and Cedar Creek, and Bastrop, and LaGrange. And the creeks overflowed, and downtown became awash, and dumpsters floated on Lamar, and one young guy in cowboy boots clung to a fence outside the football stadium as the waters rushed beneath, and everyone watched him being rescued in a boat and collapsing to the ground when he reached dry land. And we were grateful, and Jim Spencer led us through, saying, "Don't worry," saying, "Put as many walls as you can between you and the outside," saying, "Turn up your television so you can still hear it," saying, "You are going to be okay." This one is from July 26th. We've left the house now, and we are out in the world, and late July is when the purple martins come through. And so this is a photograph of the power lines that were covered with the purple martins passing through. We have to imagine the purple martins came this way even before the swath of land housed a Walgreens and a Target, even before this spot by the river became home to a towering power plant that chugged along for years and then was taken apart piece by piece and hauled away on the backs of trucks. I'm going to read two more pieces. First does not have a photo because it happened after I put this book together at the end of the year. It's one of the very last things that I wrote about house sitting for a friend, and it's called The Peace of Other People's Homes. Watching a friend's cat, I let myself in, find the pans hung in their same places, the lights of the Wi-Fi still twinkling. There is something in the smooth surfaces of someone else's table, the soft fluff of someone else's cat with her petite head nudging my hand. Her neediness is not the neediness of my own pets. This mail, not my mail, to be sorted and dealt with. Nothing new gets added to my lists between these walls. I could sit all night reading a magazine in the brown chair, cat brushing again past my legs. Then later, at another house, a pile of shredded manchego waits, a wooden spoon we take turns using to stir the risotto. The sausage a gift from a friend I don't know, so have no need to thank. I could take a week off just to sort through my home, its piles, its unclipped price tags. But in other people's homes, nothing is left undone. Over time, the rice plumps perfectly, and if the lock sticks as I'm leaving, I don't mind. Just jiggle it closed and move on. The last thing I'm going to read, I'm actually reading from my friend and colleague John Herndon, who in 2015 invited me to be one of the judges of the Balcones Poetry Prize at ACC. So in April of the year that I was doing these picks and paragraphs, I tried to write all praise songs during the month of April. And I did not get 30 praise songs, but I wrote quite a few of them. And I thought that I would end the reading of poetry with a praise song about poetry. So the photo is the big box of books that were left to me to read. This one has not been edited since I first wrote it. It is called Praise Song, Books of Poems, and I think it's a bit of a celebration of poetry itself. So, praise how they come into the world despite their unlikeliness and how they just keep coming. Praise lines, verses, stanzas spilling down the page. Praise white space and mass in this paperless age. To judge the Balcones Prize, I must read 37 books, and in this box, they wait for me. Inside 1,000 poems with their pronouncements, their suggestions, their nuance, their clarity. They wait for me from cold apartments in Soviet Russia and the once-burned landscape of Hiroshima, from the deep seas of a father's past and hands joining across a kitchen table. Praise the belief that we still have something to say. Praise the publishers who help us to say it. Praise the notebooks and napkins and documents out of which they came. Praise the order, the voice, the desire to find just the right word. Praise again the lines, verses, stanzas, white space. Praise the music. Praise the need to speak it.